Good day, thinkers, thought leaders, progressives, and dreamers. I'm CraigTheWriter Stewart, and this is So Much to Say YouTube TV. These are my thoughts in my voice on black shit, white shit, gay shit, and everything in between. So Much to Say YouTube TV is the place that you come to learn and grow, because we discuss socially relevant things mixed with a splash of humor. If you know you have tissue paper feelings, this probably isn't the channel for you. But and however, since you're here, I just need for you to do two things. Hit the like button, make sure you hit the subscribe button, and turn on that little bell so that you get the notification every single time that I go live or upload something new. I'll see you soon. Bye. Good day, thinkers, thought leaders, progressives, and dreamers. I'm CraigTheWriter Stewart, and this is the Patreon version of So Much to Say. These are my thoughts in my voice on black, white, gay, and everything in between. Speaking of gay, I just got a message from one of you. We were just sitting here talking, me, Elliot, and my mom. I don't know if you guys can see my mother over there. But we were just in here talking, and I just happened to pick up my phone, and I was looking at the messages here. And again, I'm not going to say your name, but I got a message from one of the moms who's a member of Patreon. And she says, "Hi, Craig, I need some advice." And Elliot, I've read it to my mother and Elliot, but we haven't discussed it yet because Elliot was trying to talk about it. I said, we're going to wait until we get on camera so it can be all fresh and new and, it'll be organic. So we ran and got my mother and Elliot an ice cream cone, and then we came back. What?
You're going to just put all my dirt in the street.
Well, they see you eating it. So
it could be yogurt.
So we went and got them an ice cream cone, and they put it in a cup. But anyway, so I read it to them before we left. So I'm going to read it again, and then we're going to talk about it to help you with your question. So the question was, well, she said, "Hi, Craig, I need some advice. My baby girl just came out to me today, literally 30 minutes ago, and I'm kind of ashamed of my reaction. I initially told her I accept her for who she is, and in the same breath, I said I did not want a gay child. Fortunately, she was not upset. However, I still felt ashamed for my response. My oldest daughter was in the car with us when she told me, and her response to my reaction is that I am homophobic, which is far from the truth. I defended myself by telling her how I watch you religiously." So that validates her, because she watches me, right?
The gay one.
Right. So she said, "Because I watch you religiously, and that your man just gave you the sweetest Valentine's." Now, what that got to do with the
Your
price?
man.
What that got to do with the price of tea in China? I don't know. But I see where you're coming from. But that sounds like what white people do. No, I have a black friend, and she was just at my house yesterday.
And we had pork ribs.
Right. And our children play together. So she says, my oldest, being the Virgo that she is, was like, what does that got to do? What does that got to do with anything you said? No, I'm sorry. What does that got to do with anything you said, what you said? So I'm saying all of this to say, how do I show her I accept her and that I didn't really mean it? I was just in shock. I am crying as I type this because I feel like the worst mom in the world right now. So you go first. Do you want to go first? Or
You go first.
All right, so I want to go by stages. So the first thing that kind of raised the brow for me, not in a negative way, was when you said, fortunately, she was not upset. When you said in the same breath you told her I don't want a gay child, but you said fortunately she was not upset. What I know to be true is, even if she didn't demonstrate today that she was upset, she definitely internalized it. And she's going to forever remember how you responded. Again, this is not to make you feel bad. Your reaction is your reaction. But she definitely is going to remember it, yes. Right? Now, here's the thing. What I will say to you as the parent, it isn't easy. And Carlton and I, we have these little scenarios in our mind, like, okay, when we have kids, would you be upset if our kids are gay? And I will say to you all the time, I say to him all the time, I would prefer that my kids aren't gay.
Aren't or are?
Are not. And not that there's anything wrong with it, but from a parent standpoint, and this is probably where you are when you say you don't mind and you have no problem with it, but then in the same breath you said you don't want your child to be gay.
Why not?
For me, I would think that a parent wants their child to be able to navigate the world as seamlessly as possible.
Well, that's
I don't want my kids.
That's like saying I don't want my child to be black because they're going.
Well, I ain't got no choice but to be black, and you ain't got no choice but to be gay. I mean, because being gay is instinctive, it's innate, it's a part of who you are. So either you're born that way or you're not. Of course, there are some things that deviate from that. Like if you were molested, then sometimes that can trigger things. So I get that. But typically speaking, but in terms of being black, yes, I don't want.
I'm just saying that's similar.
It is similar
because of the difficulties and the challenges that your child may experience.
And that's why I don't want them to be gay if I could choose, because it's like you're already black, and then you got to be black and gay, or you know. But then Carlton's point of view is, and it's kind of made me think and change the way that I felt, is by the time we have kids and by the time the kids are 10, the world is going to be a different place. You know what I'm saying? And you already see schools now where you got parents that are same gender. Yeah, they would be more accepting. So when he said it that way, it was just like, oh, okay. But he's always throwing different scenarios at me. Like we'll be out and he'll be like, what if our son was acting like that? Or like he's always doing that. Or what if our son or daughter was trans? Like how would you feel? Like we always play these what if type games. But so I will say that. So it maybe from that standpoint is what you were thinking. Like I would prefer she's not. But and then the other part that you said in here, when you said I defended myself, I was telling her that how you watch me religiously. Even though I was joking a moment ago, honestly speaking, it is kind of like a white person saying, well, no, I didn't mean it no kind of way. Like one of my best friends is black and da-da-da. So just because you watch me doesn't mean that you are not homophobic or that you are accepting. And I've even said this before on the live. It's been a long time now, but I've even said on the live before, one time when I was closing, I was ending the show, and I was saying, you know, hopefully I said something. I said, I know that there are many of you that are probably watching me, and maybe you fell in love with me. Maybe you fell in love with my personality, and you are more accepting of gay people because you love me.
Correct.
But that doesn't mean that homophobia isn't there. You understand what I'm saying? And maybe it will help you change and be a bit different person in how you present yourself in the world. Case in point, I have a cousin, my cousin Byron. He said to me years ago, because he had a coworker who was gay and he was really feminine, and he said, Craig, he just get on my nerves. Like he just and I don't even speak to him. Like I don't want to look at him and like I don't want to interact with him. And I said to him, I said, but Byron, I hear what you're saying, but you wouldn't want somebody to treat me like that. He said, but you don't act like that. I said, but that's besides the point. I said, the point is, you wouldn't want somebody else to treat me that way. Right. And I don't want you to mistreat him that way. Like, and I challenged him. I said, you need to take a step back and look at yourself and figure out why his femininity bothers you. Because what does that have to do with you? That has nothing to do with you.
Same thing, what does being gay have to do with anybody? I'm not sharing my bedroom experiences with you. My personal life is my personal life. When I'm in the workspace, why does me being gay have any infraction on you doing your job or we working together as coworkers?
Exactly.
Where you can go home and be into bestiality. I don't know and really don't care because I'm not sharing it with you.
Right. So, Mom, let me just say this. It takes time to be okay, right? It does take time to be okay. And that's okay too. Part of the reason that Derek J and I started doing Gay Like Me conversations is because we wanted to be able to reach people like you. We wanted to reach parents. We wanted to reach queer people. When I say queer, I mean LGBTQ plus people who are still not accepting of themselves. Like, it's not just about the community outside of the LGBTQ community. It's about the people that are in the community too, because some people are moving around in this community and aren't comfortable in their own skin. So that's why we do that show. So you have to spoon feed yourself, And it's different when it hits home.
Correct.
You may be a person who is okay with gay people as long as they're out there, but once it's your family, it's like, oh, it's a different thing. Same thing with my mother. She's sitting over here. Same thing with my mother. When she first found out that I was gay, and I don't know if you read my first book or not, but I tell the whole story in there. And
when you first admitted to being gay.
Well, when I first admitted it, she very much was like, well, I don't want to meet none of those people. I don't want to meet any of them. And don't bring any of them around me. And if you do, you're not going to like it. And this, that, and that. So she, but it takes time. And I don't think that you're on that end of the spectrum. But you're somewhere on that spectrum. Because if you said to her, I'd rather not have a gay child, you obviously feel something about it.
Well, I'm going to digress for just a second. I would say to that statement, maybe, because I always say when people do that, that's her internalizing, as you just said, the perception of what it may be for her, the life she's going to have. I may not have grandchildren. All of that is coming from her internal feelings.
Yes.
And I think if you explain that to your daughter and have a conversation with her to explain yourself, because it is a little offensive to the person
and
to
off-putting.
You're not you say you accept me, but you're telling me you don't want me to be a certain way, then you don't fully accept me.
Exactly. And here's the thing. And because you're on Patreon, I'm sure you've heard me say this either on one of my lives or on my Patreon. The same way that I feel about dating. Remember how I just said just the other day about how sometimes people date with their friends and family members in mind? Mm-hmm. You're dating somebody because they have a degree. Or you refuse to date somebody who doesn't have a degree, or because he works at a certain place because you're concerned about what your family and your girlfriends or whoever's going to think. The same is true with this. That was one of the conversations that I had with my mom. I said, well, what's really bothering you? Because you say you already knew. This is what my mom told me. She said, I already knew. I don't understand why you didn't just come and say it. But it's something about the reality of it that makes it firm and it makes it true. Like, you can never pretend not to know once it's admitted. So what I say to you is it that you're now more concerned about what your family members are going to think, what your neighbors are going to think, what your coworkers are going to think? So maybe step outside of yourself and try to look at it from that perspective. Because if you really don't have an issue with her being, or have an issue with gay people, then try to figure out or understand why you said, I just don't want a gay child. There has to be something there.
I just think she internalized it. I really do. Because you're looking at the long-term effects. How's that going to put me? Because you're internalizing to say another thing. What did I do wrong? Did I do something wrong? Why is she this way? Right. Did I make her give a boy to her? I don't know what the situation is, but parents, some parents. Yeah. Because my mother didn't take it that way. My mother says, I was waiting on you.
Oh, he was just telling us the story too before your email. Was it before her email?
Yeah, that was why her email was coming.
Yeah, yeah. And so tell that story.
My situation
He was a young tenderoni, 16 years old. Go ahead.
I was a young child who was not doing certain things.
He was a young lady. Go ahead, tell the story. Let me get some water.
So shady. Well, my situation was, I was 16, athletic, academic, came home to my mother one day and I says, well, what does it mean when someone says they're in love with you? Mm-hmm. And my mother looked at me and she said, okay, what's his name? And I said, wait a minute, girl. I didn't say who or what they were. I asked the question. She said, well, I knew who you were before you knew who you were. I was waiting on you to come to me because I love you regardless of what you are, who you are, as long as you know who you are. That was what's important to me. And that was my coming out, because I didn't have a coming out, because I didn't know what that meant. Right. I didn't even know what gay meant. I knew there was an attraction for the same sex, but I didn't know what to do with that attraction. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't putting a label on it because I didn't understand what it was. Right. But she already knew that I was different. Right. And she was waiting on the child to be comfortable, meaning me, before she came out and said, don't do this. She never told me what I couldn't play with, what I couldn't do. Right. Now, I didn't want to wear no girl clothes, none of that, but she never said you can't play jacks or hopscotch with your cousin. She never did that. Right. So she said, I was waiting on you. Right.
And maybe, I don't know this, I'm just putting something out there for you to think about. Maybe you have this idea of what a lesbian means. Maybe you think she's going to walk around now all of a sudden being all hard and, dress in a certain way. It doesn't necessarily mean any of that. You may not even be thinking that. I'm just putting it out there. But what I want to say to you, this is the last thing that I want to say, and that is you have to think about how difficult it probably was for her to even have a conversation with you in the first place. So you should cherish and value the fact that she thought enough of you to come and talk to you. One, she could have been suicidal. 2, she could have been drug addicted, dealing with that, internalizing that and all that kind of stuff. And the other thing is, it's a privilege that she even told you, because one of the things I said to my mother, I didn't have to tell you this. This was something that I shared with you, because if I was straight, I wouldn't have felt it necessary to say, oh, by the way, I'm straight.
Yeah.
I'm having girlfriends and stuff. Like,
because they already perceive.
They already perceive that, exactly.
But her daughter's going to need,
right,
during this time, even though she's told you that, that's that moral and that mental support that don't treat her any different. And when if you have to also, and it's going to be a learning experience for the parent, if that child comes to you to discuss things that are going to be uncomfortable,
like when she starts dating, or she right, and if she has already started dating, when she starts bringing girlfriends home. But also, she may have had your daughter, the other daughter, in the car because obviously the other daughter knew.
Yes.
She probably had her in the car as a buffer to try to, you know what I mean, to have support in the car. Yeah. So those are all of the things that came to mind for me. Did you want to say something, Ma?
No.
Oh, okay. But all right, well, hopefully that helps. And bye. I'll talk to you soon.
I don't know what the video looked like, because I don't know what my hair looked like. I don't know where the camera was pointing.
Well, I'm putting all of that on here too, that part. Bye, y'all. Good day, thinkers, thought leaders, progressives, and dreamers. I'm Craig the Writer Stewart, and I'm inviting you to join my Patreon. Don't know what a Patreon is? It's my official video diary with only exclusive content that you won't see anyplace else. It's easy to join. Just visit patreon.com/Craig the Writer Stewart. Here's what you'll find on my Patreon. A day in my life, whether that's dinner with friends or a typical workday. Live Q&As with members of my Patreon about each episode of the T.S. Madison Experience and what I was really thinking. I'll even bring you on vacation with me. The video will make you think that you were right there. And last but not least, for all of my aspiring writers, I give you firsthand, one-on-one, personalized attention, answering all of your questions about publishing and self-publishing. So what are you waiting for? Join now. Swipe up or visit www.patreon.com/Craig the Writer Stewart. I'll see you soon. Oh, and one more thing. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Craig the Writer. Do it now.